No, thanks for coming. Obviously, we have been starting workouts. I think we're in week 5, I believe, of workouts, and we had only one team practice. Everything else has been individuals, and I've tried to stay away from them as much as physically possible just because we didn't end until April last year, and we've got the bulk of our team back. 4 starters, obviously, as well as a bunch of new guys. But, you know, year 2 is much more enjoyable than year 1 just because I don't have to get to know these guys as much. Anybody that we've brought in, we've recruited, so that part of it's been exciting. You know, so it's the summertime. We still got a long, long way to go, but we're excited about where we're headed.
Coach, the 2 kids that aren't here yet, any concerns about them academically or being able to be with you this season?
No, they've been cleared by the NCAA. Now it's a matter of getting them into school, and we feel confident that they will both be here in the fall, a couple weeks. You
said on your blog that you need to make Williams Arena the toughest place in the country to play it. How do you kind of go about that, or what are some of your thoughts about that?
Well, I think, you know, it's got potential, obviously. I mean, I think if you talk about last year, I'm not sure we beat Wisconsin, Iowa, Ohio State, Indiana, Florida State. I don't think we do that without our home fans. I mean, without that crowd. That's what makes this job so special, in my opinion, is we can generate unbelievable home crowds. And moving into year 2, if you want to do what we all want to do, you can't lose at home. And we lost 3 times at home. Obviously, Michigan was tough. Northwestern were basket away, and then Illinois, we just didn't play real well. But if we want to get to where we want to get to, it's got to be the toughest place to play in the country. You know, and hopefully we're continuing to build that momentum.
Andre.
He's good. You know, he's healthier. You know, I've gone back and I've watched last couple of games, and I'm working my way back down. And you could tell, I was just watching the Florida State game on the elliptical, you could tell he was hurt. Looks much better, feels healthy. We gave him some rest, and he's getting much, much more confident.
How's this practice facility holding up for you, the one across from offices? Is that a good long-term solution? Have you made it, have you retrofitted it or whatever you needed to do so that you like it?
Well, I think when I took the job here, we were practicing, lifting, playing games, doing study hall and tutor in 4 or 3 different buildings. That is not conducive to running a basketball program. You don't want your players running all over campus. It's just too hard, whether it's individual instruction, lifts, study hall, tutors, classes, practice. Having them run around like that is not beneficial for operating at a high level. What I love about it is if they're going to lift, they're going to pop into my office. If we're doing an individual instruction, it's just right outside of our offices. If they have an individual instruction, then they need to get up to study hall, it's right upstairs. So we have really made the best of this situation, and certainly I think it's coming along very nicely. I think it's been very, very helpful. I know our guys are excited about it, and we certainly have got unbelievable faith in Norwood and what his staff is doing moving forward to help us compete at the highest level.
Any surprises in the non-conference schedule?
No, not really. I know everybody's going to ask about the NIT. I mean, you know, it's we are hoping it all works out. It's a little bit in flux right now, but we're pretty confident that it's all going to work out.
What's the biggest challenge with it? You say it's in flux. Just
well, they couldn't get, I guess, 16 teams, I think is what they were looking for. And I think they're working on making sure, you know, because what you wanted was 2 home games, 2 neutral site games. And I know Dan Gavitt's working very, very hard to make that happen. So we still want to play in it, and we want to make it happen, and I think it's moving in that direction.
Is there any scenario in which you would bow out of that?
You know, I hope not, to be honest with you. But we want to make it work. You know, we know we played in the Garden last year. It was a great experience, and to play in the Garden is always fun for our players, and we want to make it work, so I hope not.
Have they confirmed with you what the format would be for that? How many home games versus?
It's still in flux. We're still working on it, so nothing's done yet. But when it is, we will let you know.
Some of your guys made significant strides in these summer workouts, Richard?
Yeah, Squirrel Carlos Morris put on 17 pounds, which was huge. And he still needs to put on a little bit more, obviously. Nate Mason has looked good. He's put on some weight. Of the returning guys, they're all in great shape. Like DeAndre put on, I think, 13 pounds of muscle. So I'm excited. I think they're all excited about it, too, because year one, they're getting to know me. They're getting to know the system. Now they understand the way that we want to play. They understand the terminology. Now it's just getting back to doing it right. I mean, we won a championship year one. Obviously, we want to play in the NCAA tournament. So we were playing our best basketball at the end of the season, which is nice, but now we know what kept us out of the NCAA. So I think these guys are eager.
Walker still the same weight in that, or?
Probably put on a little bit more muscle, but I don't think there's a whole lot of transformation just yet. Still working on that.
How's Charles Buggs?
He had a little minor knee surgery. He's been cleared to do non-contact stuff. And I would say by when we get rolling again, late September, he'll be good to go.
Given how he emerged late last season, do you have a vision for?
Wasn't much of an emergence.
You don't think so?
No.
So maybe that one game. That
Yeah, one great game. I think that Charles is going to be. He redshirted, obviously, and he knows. Like, what I love about Charles more than anything is he knows he has great potential. He knows this is going to be a process. It's not going to happen overnight with him. So he's the type of guy. He could have benefited from a full summer, healthy. He didn't get that. But I'm excited about him. I really am. I think he sees the potential. Like, he knows it. It's just a matter of putting it all together.
When you write about Andre having a potential for a breakout year, how do you kind of define that, Coach? What do you thinking or saying?
Well, I think we saw his sophomore year against Memphis. He had 40 points, whatever it was, and I think he was all conference, second team, third team, and he had a really good year. And he was trending towards that at the beginning of the year with us. He had some very good games. Then that ankle injury really hurt him, and he tried to come back, obviously, give us what he could because we needed him. He's the type of kid where he doesn't complain. Really, really tough kid. You wouldn't notice it probably because he smiles so much, but he is a really tough kid. And, now that once he's healthy, I think he understands what's expected of him, and I think he's looking forward to relishing those opportunities senior year.
As far as leadership in the summer?
I have only been around him for an hour, so it seemed fine then, but it's too soon to tell that.
Yeah, that you could see as a senior being that kind of that guy. That
I would hope so. Yeah, I mean, when you have 4 seniors, you'd hope they all take different type of leadership roles. Andre was a pretty good leader last year. He just got hurt.
With Buggs, do you think that he won't be doing making contact again until September?
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're going home, soon, so August 7th. So you get a little break, and then hopefully get back up and running again in September with him.
With DeAndre Matthew, does fatherhood focus that guy in a little bit?
Whenever I see him, I say, boy, you're lucky, because his baby's not here. His baby's back in Kentucky. So I'm like fresh off of no sleep, and he looks all well rested. So we laugh about it. But, I think he's excited about it. He's a mature kid to begin with, and, that was a great experience for him. I know he's very excited about it.
What do they ask you to do this summer? Do they ask you to meet with a lot of donors or potential donors and that kind of thing, or they just say go recruit the best players? What do you do?
That would be nice, but no. Norwood's always got me, doing a bunch of different things. But what I love about Norwood more than anything, and there's a lot of things I love about him, but he lets you do your thing during the season. He understands what it takes when you're in that grind during the season. In the off season, I tell him all the time, whatever you need me to do, I am glad to do it because I know we've got a lot of work to do in that department. And, so I've done a decent amount of stuff, and I'll continue to do that in the offseason as much as possible.
Did you know McNamara at all?
No, I did. I've heard about him, but I didn't know.
What's been the perception of the recruiting trail now that they know what your style is, where you fit in the Big Ten?
Yeah, it's been. I always say it's not easy. It's never easy. It's been less difficult just because, like, when they talk to me, they know we won the NIT. They saw the game. It was a great game. They probably may have seen a couple of games on TV, so they understand the way that we're going to play, which is nice. I can now, if kids come on campus, I can show them some film of how we play. It's just so much less difficult because when I first came here, there's so many unknowns, and now you don't have that as much. Now, like me, don't like me, wherever it is, now you know what you're going to get.
Is the non-conference schedule set other than whatever's happening with the NIT?
We will be releasing that soon. Patience. Patience. You will get it.
How about you, Richard? Anything new about the Louisville game?
You know, we're kind of figuring out details. I guess, you know, it's very, very remote. It's not, you know, when people think of Puerto Rico, I think they think of San Juan. It's not there. It's on the other side of the island. Like I texted Berea when I found out the location. I was like, where is this? He was like, whoa. You know, so it's, I believe it's on a Coast Guard base. And it's not on a ship. It's inside. And I think we each get about 55, 60 tickets each, and that includes everybody. You know, my dad already tried to steal some tickets from me, which I said no. So, you know, it's, but it'll be a lot of fun. It'll be great for our program to be on that stage.
Maria, have anything else to say that's interesting about this thing?
No, not really. We just texted real quick about it.
You mean 55 or 60 tickets because they sell out the rest, or what?
No, it's legitimately your families, and it's really for the troops. Yeah, it's not open to the public.
In the hangar?
I believe it's in a hangar. It's in a hangar. It's inside. It's not on a ship.
I like that. It'll be a true neutral crowd. I mean, there'll be a couple from there and maybe a couple from here, but.
Yeah, I mean, well, I'm sure about 10 of the tickets from my dad's side will be my family, or at least 20. So if they're not rooting for me, there's a major problem. So hopefully we can make it a bit of a home game. But yeah, we played the game because it's awesome exposure for us as we continue to build this, and to be on TV, the first game of the season, to play obviously a great opponent. Will be a lot of fun.
Talk about Josh Martin a little bit. I know obviously Zach Levine's here. You know if the two have gotten together at all? And
I don't know if they have because they've been at Summer League. I love Josh Martin's potential. I don't know what goes on up in Seattle because Zach Levine, Josh Martin, Peyton C were like the three most athletic kids I've ever seen. You know, so with Josh Martin, legitimately, at the end of practice, whenever it was, a week or so ago, I threw the ball off the backboard. He caught it, did like a reverse dunk, and then Joey comes up behind and says, "Let me do it, coach." I said, "No, Joey, that's not your game." So he's got unbelievable potential. Josh does. He's got to put it all together. It's going to take some time. Joey is so perfect for him because he can teach him a little bit of how to play because Josh is still really, really raw in that regard.
You mentioned that you want to be more aggressive defensively this upcoming season. Are you focusing on any drills in practice particularly, or does it more come down to endurance and conditioning this summer?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think it comes down to personnel more than anything, and I think the guys that we brought in, they lend to that style of play. You know, I don't know if it's the drills. I mean, we did the drills last year in practice. I think more so it's recruiting to that style and the way that you want to play and getting more quality depth and just building off of that. I think guys understand a little bit. And it had its moments last year defensively. I mean, like I said, I was watching a Florida State game. We had some really good turnovers there. Just it's a process.
What does it mean to your potential success having 4 seniors that have played a lot for you?
Well, I think it's important, obviously, because now, like when you looked at our team last year, we were old, but we were inexperienced. I'd said that a bunch of times because DeAndre had not been through it. Malik Smith had not been through it. Joey King had not been through the Big Ten. Now those guys, if we play at Michigan State, like DeAndre is going to be comfortable. You know, you play at a Michigan, Ohio State. Now we don't really need to talk about the crowd part of it or the endurance part of a long season. Those guys get it. That's huge. That's huge. And, you know, hopefully they understood what kept us out of where we wanted to get to last year and then what took us to where we wanted to get to, obviously, with the NIT championship.
Consider yourself a contender?
I don't consider myself anything. That's up for you guys to decide, not me.
Starting 5?
Right now? No, we won't play till November. That would be real beneficial to tell everybody who's starting in November.
You had talked about earlier in the offseason trying to do some different sort of creative, different things from last year. Have you done any of that? Do you have any plans?
Well, yeah, I mean, like I talked about before, I mean, I stayed away from these guys for, I think, a month and I didn't even go on the court. I may peek my head through the window a little bit, but I let my assistants do all the workouts. That was something I did not do last year. Like I see Coach Stallings with the women's team, you know, she's running practices because she wants to establish a culture. Whereas for me, I see our players, and you guys probably noticed I got a lot stronger. I see them more in the weight room than I do on the practice court. I mean, I've tried to lift with them and get them in other settings as much as possible to almost strengthen our relationships individually. So I think that's been different, as well as in the fall when everybody gets back, we'll certainly try to do some different things.
So you're up to on the bench now.
What?
What are you up to on the bench now?
Obviously, you've been in the sun. You're not lifting on a golf course. So.
Who's your strongest guy?
Who's our strongest player?
Yeah.
I would say, well, pound for pound, you know, I'm going to say maybe Joey King, probably, but that's my guess. Maybe DeAndre. I'd say Joey or DeAndre. Those are the two I was thinking of, but I'm not sure.
You said year two's been more enjoyable than year one. What's the best part about going through this again now that you've already done it once?
I've done it twice. See, that's what people don't realize. Yeah, I've done it twice. It's really hard when you take a first job, and it's not that it's easy, but you're meeting so many people. Like I know everybody in this room. There's a comfortability factor about that. Well, then you don't know your players. So last year, I don't know how Andre Hollins will take to coaching. I don't know how Mo Walker's going to take. So there's that unknown there. Well, then you're trying to figure out what you have so that you can recruit. Well, now we know what we have. We know what we need. That part's huge. And then just the community part of it, knowing so many people, meeting so many people, feeling comfortable with that is all great.
Those two bigs, assuming all goes well, what do you foresee from them in terms of contribution?
You know, it's hard to say right now because they're athletes, they're raw. You know, hopefully they can develop over time. I'm excited about both, but it's just tough to say until you've worked with them individually.
Early impressions of the Big Ten, including Wisconsin?
Wisconsin's obviously phenomenal last year, and they're only going to get better. I mean, they were playing their best basketball towards the end. They have everybody back but one guy. So I would think they've got to be the favorite going into the season. I think more than anything, coaching's obviously great. The stability is great. The home courts are unbelievable. That's why it's so important for us to win at home. So I think it's going to be an awesome conference as always.
You have a couple of major goals that you're really trying to get as far as improvement or different things for the guys to work on, get out of the summer?
Yeah, I mean, you know, certainly I think we've tried to stress to them why we weren't the best we could possibly be last year, and certainly that was defense, that was turnovers. I don't know how much we're going to improve all that over the summer as much as their individual bodies, their individual skill level. I think those kind of things we've stressed more than anything because once they get back, and I don't know the exact date, middle of September, we really rev it up, and you're going every single day. You know, so you have 2 solid good months to really, really talk about the team aspect of it.
Any word on Austin Hollins, where he might be, Europe or wherever he might be headed?
He's working on that right now. He's still on campus. He's been around, still working out, so he's still trying to solidify something overseas.
You talked about toughness being an area, too, that you wanted to really focus in on.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we only won, 3 road games, I believe, at Northwestern, at Richmond, and at Penn State. 3 road games. You got to be really tough to win on the road, and the great teams win on the road. So that mental toughness part of it is huge. Like I said before, I mean, we needed to beat Wisconsin in the conference tournament to solidify getting in the NCAA tournament. They just straight kicked our butts. Now you got to give them credit. They played awesome, and they were ready to go, and they were playing great basketball. But we laid an egg. So certainly we need to understand that, and we can't ever do that again.
You talk about the growth of Mo Walker last year as far as, you know, losing weight and everything. You talk about guys gaining weight this year. Is it kind of a flip from last year where, you know, Elias and some guys, like some of the big guys were having to work on their conditioning and some of their weight. Now it's more the perimeter guys that you talked about having to do that. Carlos Morris, you know, DeAndre.
Yeah, I mean, You know, Mo's still going to get stronger. That's something we've really talked about a lot. Like, he's got the ball knocked out of his hands a lot. That's huge. You know, Elliott's under 10% body fat, which is great. You know, I think top to bottom, everybody. I wouldn't say it's just one or two guys that need to get in great shape. They all do. And they've all been very committed to it. You know, Daquan McNeil's been great in the weight room as well. So what I like about when we talk about year two is they know what they need to do. Whether or not they do it, that's my job. But they do know what they need to do.
Probably big stride though, as far as gaining or losing weight.
Yeah, I mean, he came in and he might have been 160 pounds. And, you know, now that he gets in this environment, he's eating several times a day. You know, thanks to Shabazz Napier, he'll eat like 20 times a day. So, you know, it's we just keep feeding him. And that's the way it's going to be. So it's good. So thank you.